afternoon, everybody. This is Jenna Rovira with Marion Therapeutic Riding Association, and we're here for another Meet and Greet Monday with a very special guest today, Miss Kat Chrysostom. How are you, Miss Kat?
Really good, Jenna. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. Miss Kat is a supporter of Marion Therapeutic Riding Association, and she is one of the founders of BeneFab Products. She's an entrepreneur, a keynote speaker, and she has a blog and podcast with parables, life lessons from horses. Kat, you have such a powerful story. Can you share a little bit about your background and what led up to BeneFab?
Absolutely. And thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be here. So really, if you go back to 2011, I grew up in a family full of medical professionals, was kind of destined for the medical field and really passionate about medicine. So I was studying on a pre-med track, studying biology, and actually took spring break. I'd grown up on a farm, so I'd always ridden horses and wanted to come to Florida to ride horses. And had a beautiful ride, had been down here for a little while and was riding a friend of a friend's horse back to the barn. Didn't have much connection with his owners, but was riding him back and he stumbled. And long story short, we tumbled over each other. And it turns out in hindsight, we had actually both fractured our necks. And the horse weeks later didn't end up making it. And I was told I would never ride again and may never walk again. I was temporarily paralyzed, put into a halo traction device. And really, it was the start of a whole nother life for me. And just it was a different trajectory for my life. I lost my scholarship. Going back to school seemed really daunting. I was on bed rest, on a morphine drip for 3.5 months. Just my whole life changed in a split second. And really, I think it was the loss, more than anything, it was the loss of my identity. I was 20 years old when I had the accident. So it was kind of this pinnacle point in your life where you're figuring out what you want to do and, where you want to go. And all of my plans up to then seemed, like they weren't going to play out. So I ended up actually kind of reinventing myself in my recovery process. I had exhausted everything to regain my mobility. And on the recommendation of one of my neurologists, I tried a holistic therapy. And that was really what gave me my mobility back, and more than my mobility, my whole life really is what gave me my life back. So I wanted to take that life-changing therapy and share it with other people. And that's how I founded my company, BeneFab. And I take that same therapy and we made wearable wellness products that have helped heal animals and people all around the world. So it's kind of it was a reinvention. I say it like in 2 minutes where it sounds like it was this like aha moment. There was a lot of ups and downs and twists and turns, but it's really been a, something that I was able to take my worst nightmare and really turn it into my biggest blessing.
Definitely. And that you have. And I think you've been a blessing to so many. And you've definitely been a blessing to us here at MTRA. You connected with us last summer, a little bit before our Path International Region 5 conference, and then you really jumped on board to help with that. What led you to connecting with us?
Oh my gosh, I am really passionate about what you guys do. And I'm really passionate about any business or organization that gives back. And I think that having a successful organization is one thing, but being able to help people, and have success and make a difference is another. And that's what I really loved about MTRA. And just being able, like, I know, and I never had formal equine assisted therapy experience before. But I know coming back from my accident, that is absolutely what was happening. And the horses helped me so much, in that process. And it was certainly, there were a lot of low points and high points. But I know what they did for me, and being able to see that transformation of what you guys are doing in people's lives, was just enough for me to jump on board and be a part of it.
Yeah, and I can't imagine going through that, especially at that age, like you mentioned. That's such a transformational period, and trying to find yourself. Are you willing to share a little bit about the emotional challenges that you went through or experienced?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and it's interesting. So I actually wrote a book a few years ago, and the book is called Broken to Branded, and it's like a very meaningful title to me, because physically I was broken, but emotionally I was really broken. And I dig into the emotional trauma aspect of it more in the book, but I think that the hardest part about my accident was the loss of my identity, but it was the fear of the unknown. The fear of, am I going to get my mobility back fully? Am I not? What's my life going to look like? Am I going to go back to school? Like, all those thoughts were really daunting. And on top of that, you have the financial aspect of not being able to do anything for, that amount of time, and trying to figure out medical bills. And, there was a lot that was playing into it. But I think the fear of the unknown for me almost manifested itself into like this deep, dark cloud that just hung over me. And trying to get out of that was really hard. And I think the most important thing for me was just putting one foot in front of the other, and just, literally and figuratively, because my mobility was a huge challenge. But that, I think it was the fear of the unknown. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, like whether they're physically paralyzed or mentally paralyzed, just where to go next.
Right. And you definitely did rebuild yourself and rebrand yourself. So that's definitely a great story. And I know you are a keynote speaker sometimes. Is that, I imagine you share this story as a keynote speaker and motivational?
I do. Yes, I do share the story for sure. And I think that so my keynote, it's funny because my business has kind of taken over my life. There's a lot that happens there. And but I do speak, and I'm really passionate about helping people and helping people find their purpose, and discover connection with themselves and with their mission, and what they want to do, to reinvent themselves and live the life that they want. So for me, my keynote, sort of the keynote of my speeches is, even in the darkest times, light can be found. And it starts within ourselves. So I certainly share the story, and I'm a science and data-driven person. So I also talk quite a bit about, even what you guys do, like there's so much science behind that connection that we find with animals. So animals are a big part of my speaking too.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's part of what I immediately fell in love with your products. I'm a dog lover, I'm a horse lover, and as a lifelong horse person, it takes its toll on your body physically.
Yes.
So your products kind of help my whole world for me personally. But do you have a personal favorite product, BeneFab product?
Oh my gosh, that's such a hard question. Because we don't come out with anything that we don't love. Oh gosh. Okay. So it depends. For my personal favorite, I would say is our blanket. Our people blanket. I love wrapping up in it at night. And then I also have one underneath my fitted sheet that I sleep on top of, and I don't be lasting like chronic pain from my accident, but sometimes we'll have some sharp pains in my back. just from alignment issues. And so we'll use, like I see a lot of benefit from the blanket. So that's probably my personal favorite, but my personal favorite for my horse is probably the Smart Scrum. I just see it's so cool. I think the most rewarding thing with the animals is watching that release, like that physical release. And when I put on the blanket to see him lick and chew and relax and start blinking, like it's just really rewarding. So that would be my favorite horse personal product.
Definitely. We definitely love those. We, Snowflake, our horse of the year, I'll share a picture of her at the end here, but we have lots of pictures of her resting and relaxing and enjoying herself in her Smart Scrum blanket. So thank you for sharing that with us. We appreciate it. And we put it to a lot of good use, because I think for us, the therapeutic riding is, it can be very tough on a horse physically. So your products are very nice and beneficial on so many levels for them. And if somebody were interested in learning more about BeneFab Products or contacting you about hiring you for a keynote speaker, how could they get in touch with you? What would be the best way?
BeneFabProducts.com is probably the best way to look at the products. And there's also my podcast is on there. We have a great blog. And then if you actually just are interested in the speaking, Chrysostom.com would be the place to go. But there are links from BeneFab Products to get you there also.
Okay, definitely. And we always like to do a couple silly questions. Not silly, maybe some of it's inspirational, which you've already been, but where do you see yourself maybe 10 years down the road from now?
Oh my goodness. Running a multi-million-dollar company and changing the world to be better, for sure. That's what I want to do. I would also really love to give young women opportunity, especially underprivileged young women. That's something I'm really passionate about. So I would love to build an elaborate internship program that involves animals and business, where young women can learn business and business skills, be empowered to become entrepreneurs, but also learn love and language and leadership through animals too.
I love it. And that's definitely something we should stay in touch on in the future, because that could potentially merge so well with our equine experience at-risk youth program. It's a very near and dear concept to us. So
that'd be great. Yes, we definitely need to talk about that.
Definitely. And then do you have any heroes?
Oh my gosh, so many, Jenna. Oh gosh, who are my heroes today? I would say, oh goodness, I guess I'm on a business kick. Probably Walt Disney or the Disney brothers are huge heroes of mine. They were just such visionaries, and to see what how many times they failed and they believed in their vision and their mission. They're definitely heroes. And Ray Kroc is also a huge hero of mine with McDonald's. He was able, just his creativity and cleverness. But I have so many heroes. I could go on and on. But those two, let's go with those today.
Okay, I love it. Those are two very good ones for sure.
Yeah.
All right, and then probably our silliest question, since we're horse girls. If you were a horse breed, what would you be?
Oh my gosh. I actually have thought about this question before, and I would say, I know it's a tough one, because like I want to choose so many breeds for so many different reasons, but I think I'd be a Lipizzaner.
Oh my gosh, you're the first.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, well, you tell.
That's so funny. Well, they're a little bit unique, which I certainly can relate to, feeling a little bit like looking at things differently than other people. But their versatility, I think, and their confidence. I think they've just been bred, uniquely over time. And I think that's what I would be, as a Lipizzaner.
I love it. I love it. And I love your messages. I just want to like bottle you up and take you for my tough days, because you are inspirational, and it's nice. It's very refreshing. So I think our final one, if you could share any message at all with the world, what would it be?
To don't let fear hold you back from living the life that you want. Like I remind myself of that every day, because I fall, to sometimes making fear-based decisions. And I think that the biggest thing we all have to realize is that all of us only have one thing for certain: we're not getting out alive. This is one life. And so I would just tell people, don't be afraid to really live the life you want, and treat people fairly. It's the people around us, they deserve to be treated fairly, and people come in and out of your life, and but really live the life that you want.
Love it. That's a good message to share. So I'll post at the end here, Kat, again, the website for people to be able to reach you. And I just want to point out too, you had the Parables as the newest edition you've started, right?
Yes. Yeah. Parables, Life Lessons from a Horse. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, pretty much any of the podcasting platforms you can find it on. But you're going to be on, and we've got really fun guests, and they're really just, they're pretty, like, if you commute to work, it's nice. They're normally 20 to 30 minutes, so you can listen to it in one sitting. And we talk about my horse, Para, and life lessons that he's taught me, and I interview guests, and it's a lot of fun. So that's on the website and then on any of the major podcasting platforms.
Very good. Well, we love listening to those. And I did forget to ask, are you able to ride Para still? Or are you able to ride again?
I am, yes. I'm very careful as to who I ride, and but I have a really unique bond with Para, and yeah, I've been back in the saddle for about 4 years. So it took me quite some time, because the accident was almost 10 years ago. It's hard to believe, but maybe I've been back in the saddle 4.5 or 5 years, but it's been a slow progression, and but a really fun one. And I don't really have any limitations, thank God, from my accident. It was more psychological after I recovered physically, and being able to get over those mental, I guess setbacks, you could say. But my confidence has gotten back up, and Para has taken really good care of me.
Oh, I love it. Well, that's the magic of our horses. I think they do that well for us, and
yes,
that's better in the long run.
Absolutely.
Kat, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure having you as our guest today, and I hope people will check you out if they haven't heard about you, because you're just, like I said, you're a blessing. You're an awesome little person in this world doing such great big things. So thank you for supporting us here at MTRA, and definitely for helping make our horses more comfortable as well.
Oh, of course. Thank you for your support, and I really appreciate you having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. All right. Well, you take care, and we'll be in touch here soon.
Thanks. You too, Jenna.